Hello everyone and welcome to Fifth North. I'm Demir, and as you know, if you've been watching this channel, I have listed my VIT 401 up for sale, and as you might also know, it's because I do want to fund my bike that I've been drooling over for quite some time now, the Triumph Street Triple RS. Now here's the exciting news. Just recently, Triumph made an announcement that they've made some major changes to the entire Street Triple line. So in this video, I'm going to break down my thoughts on those changes, the different trim levels, and which version I plan to buy early next year. Let's jump in. So I want to start off by pointing out that I thought that the Triumph Street Triple RS was the perfect bike for me. I want to point out that I've never actually ridden one. I've sat on one, but I have ridden the Triumph Street Triple R, which I absolutely loved. So my math is, if the R is great, the RS has a couple of upgrades that I really like, it should make the RS perfect. In fact, so perfect that when Triumph announced the 2023 carbon black color, I was set. Nothing was changing my mind. It was the 2023 RS, the carbon black color, and I was good to go. Well, Triumph may have actually just changed my mind. In a recent announcement, Triumph announced that they're changing the entire Street Triple line, which they're now calling the Street Triple 765. Keep in mind the 765 was not a part of the name before, it was just known as the Street Triple, but obviously it shares the same 765 engine, so regardless, just a slight naming change there. You still have the Street Triple 765 name, but you also have the original R-RS configurations. What's different though is along with the R and RS like before, you now also have the Moto 2 edition. So a couple of changes there with a whole new edition coming in from Triumph. Now here's where things got a little bit confusing for me. So the original body style, the 2022, not the original, but the one from 2022, it came in the silver color and the black color with the yellow accents. That was the 2022 model and color options. Then came out the 2023, which technically it's not 2023 yet, but obviously most things like cars and bikes are a year ahead. That's when the exact same body as the silver or black version came out in a different color known as the carbon black, and that was technically the 2023 model year. Now these models that were just announced, they come in totally different colors and obviously trim levels. These will be available in the States in the spring or summer of 23, and so they'll actually be 2024 models. So just wanted to clear that up a little bit because honestly initially it had me a little bit confused. So difference in 2022 and 2023 is just the colors, and then 2024 available in early 2023 is the ones that have all the big changes. All right, so we can talk about what all three trim levels are going to get. So the R, the RS, and the Moto 2. They're all going to get the upgraded 765cc triple engine. So the upgraded engine is going to feature new pistons, connecting rods, and wrist pins on the bottom end. Aside from that, the combustion chambers are also revised for increased cylinder pressure limits. This is because the compression ratio is actually going up by 4.7% from 12.65 to 1 to 13.25 to 1. There's also new valves, higher lift camshafts. Those are going to be the main changes for the top end. So the R trim is going to be the base model. This one is going to peak at a claimed 118 horsepower at 11,500 RPM. And then the RS and Moto 2 are both going to top out at 128, and this is going to be at 12,000 RPM. Peak torque is going to come in at 59 foot-pounds at 9,500 RPM. Now Triumph does say that all 6 gears, including the final drive ratio, have been changed. Also, each model has shifting aided by Triumph's quick shifter, and this is actually standard on all three trims, and it works for both upshifts and downshifts. From a technical standpoint, all three trim levels are going to get a Continental IMU. This is going to allow for much better cornering ABS, as well as a more sophisticated traction control, which, by the way, can be fully turned off, as I know some people like to do that. And aside from the technical features, all three models are going to get this sharper, more aggressive bodywork to give the Street Triple a different look. This is especially accented by the new fuel tank, which is actually smaller, coming in at 3.96 gallons versus the previous 4.6. Outside of that, all three trims still continue to have the 6,000 mile service interval or the 1 year, whichever one does come sooner. Can we just pause though? Like, look how good this bike looks. Like, I really think the previous one looked good, but this one, it just looks so good to me. I really appreciate what they did here. All right, so breaking it down by trim level, we can start with the R. This is considered the entry-level version, though I'll argue that there's really nothing that entry-level about this bike. The components are really nice, Granted, this bike does come in at 10 horsepower less than the RS and the Moto 2, and obviously the components aren't as high, but you still get some really nice components featured at the R trim level. So for suspension, the R is going to utilize Showa suspension front and rear, a 41mm diameter, USD separate function big piston front fork with 4.5 inches of stroke and a piggyback reservoir rear suspension unit giving up 5.2 inches of rear travel. Both ends are fully adjustable for spring preload, compression dampening, and rebound dampening. For the brakes, the R is going to feature dual Brembos in the front with M4 radial monoblock calipers grabbing onto some 310mm rotors. The R also features a new TFT display. This is going to be slightly smaller than the display featured on the RS and the Moto 2. And it's going to come in with the least aggressive tires with some Continental Conti roads, but obviously good for street use. Lastly, the R only features 4 riding modes as compared to the other models having 5. And the mode that is missing between the 4 and the 5 is going to be that track mode. R will be available in Silver Ice as well as Crystal White, and the starting price is $9,995, which is simply amazing. All right, so moving on to the next trim level, you've got the RS model. This one's going to be roughly $2,600 more than the R. You get everything that comes with the R, including some notable upgrades as well as that 10 horsepower bump to 128. So here's the upgrades, right? So right off the bat, you're going to get higher spec Showa 41mm USD big piston forks in the front. These are going to have 4.5 inches of stroke. And then on the back, you're going to have an Öhlins STX40 piggyback reservoir rear suspension with 5.2 inches of rear travel. And then both ends are fully adjustable for spring preload, compression dampening, and rebound dampening. Another upgrade on the RS, which it actually shares with the Moto 2 edition, are the tires. And in this case, you're going to be getting some Pirelli Diablo Super Corsa SPV3s, which are pretty crazy tires. On the braking end, the RS will get upgraded calipers as well. It's going to be utilizing some Brembo Stellima calipers, and then it's going to also have a MCS master cylinder. Outside of the brakes, you're also going to get that larger 5-inch TFT display. It's actually in full color. It is actually Bluetooth module ready, and then it also includes a lap timer if you decide to take it to the track. Now, as mentioned before, the RS has one more riding mode than the R, which gives it that total of 5, and that's including that track mode. For the RS3, there are 3 color choices. You've got Silver Ice, Carnival Red, which I think looks stunning, and then another great color, which is going to be the Cosmic Yellow. All right, so lastly, coming in at $15,395, we have the limited edition Moto 2 edition of the Street Triple. This is going to be limited to 765 units worldwide per color made, so basically 2 different colors at that 765 limit. Let's dive into some changes. Again, this one gets all the same stuff the RS gets, plus a couple of notable upgrades. So most notably, we're going to have the handlebars. That's going to be the biggest change between the Moto 2 and the RRS, because the handlebars on the Moto 2 are actually clip-ons. They sit 3.15 inches lower and almost 2 inches further forward, creating a much more aggressive riding position. And the second biggest change is going to be the suspension upgrade. This is going to be a front suspension that is a 43mm upside down, fully adjustable Öhlins NIX 30 front fork, and this is going to go with a STX Öhlins piggyback rear shock. Outside of those upgrades, the Moto 2 edition also gets carbon fiber parts, things like the front mudguard, side panels, headlight finisher, and belly pan, and a really nicely machined top yoke that's going to feature the limited edition number etched right into it. The Moto 2 is going to be available in Crystal White and Triumph Racing Yellow. All right, so after seeing the news and looking at all 3 trim levels, I am definitely sold on upgrading from my original want of the 2023 RS in the carbon black. And where I'm leaning right now is a 2024 RS again, except this time in the Carnival Red, again with the Cosmic Yellow in a close second. To me, the additional $2,600 that it costs to go from the R to the RS is completely justified by the bigger brakes, better suspension, and the larger 5-inch TFT screen, so definitely worth it from that end. And even though I don't plan to track the bike, having that track mode and having better tires is kind of a cool touch. And then obviously, aside from all those upgrades, I'm not going to complain about the extra 10 horsepower that you get over the R. And then again, the $2,500, $2,600 that you pay extra. Really, if you get all those parts added up separately, you'll far exceed that value, so definitely worth it in my opinion. Now, looking at the Moto 2, you might be asking yourself why I'm not going with that edition. It's pretty simple for me. One, it is about $3,000 more, And though it does get some great upgrades, all of those upgrades are very track specific. And once again, I'm not a track rider, so I really wouldn't utilize any of those upgrades. So I would much rather just save the money. Other smaller detail is the color choices. I like the RS color choices a lot better. Granted, I wouldn't pick a bike just based off the color, but it does add to my reasoning. And then obviously as well, it is a limited edition bike, much harder to get your hands on, much harder to find. So I wouldn't mind not having to deal with that. But the last and biggest reason I would say is because it completely is different from the R and RS in the riding position. So one of the main things that I fell in love with the Street Triple R and the RS is how you sit a little bit more upright, you're a little bit more comfortable. It is a high performance street bike, but still a comfortable street bike. My fear is with the clip-ons that the Moto 2 is going to become way too much like a super sport where you're leaning too far forward, you're going to lose some of that comfort, and so that might ruin it for me. What I fell in love with in the first place. So definitely for me, the Moto 2 is a little bit too aggressive, so I'd rather save the money and get the upgrades that I'm happy with in the RS. All right, everybody, so that is all the updates for the Triumph Street Triple line. As you guys can tell, I've done a lot of research on the subject, as I did want to make sure that I was making an informed decision for myself, since I do plan to buy one as soon as they are available next year. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them for you if I have an answer for you. With that being said, though, if you like this video, or if this video helped you make a decision on which model you want to get, hit the like button for me. And if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way you know when the next video comes out. I hope everybody has a great night. I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.